Here we look at addition and subtraction in base 5. On this document, I've given you a reminder of the digits. Remember that we only have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't have symbols that look like this or like this. They don't exist in that system. I've also given you a reminder of place value, that we have a ones place, and then we have the base itself, which is 5, and then we keep multiplying by that base. We have 1, 5, 25, 125, 625, and so on. Actually, for our work, the only digits we'll need to use really are 1 and 5, because when we're adding and subtracting, when we're carrying and borrowing, we're only working with 2 digits at a time. So we won't actually need this whole thing. It's just a reminder of how base 5 operates and how a base system works in general. So you might be a little surprised by what I have at the bottom of the page here, because you see this symbol, and this symbol, none of which exist in base 5. And that is because before we start adding and subtracting in base 5, we're going to take a look at standard addition and subtraction in base 10, the base we're familiar with, and we're going to talk about it a little bit to clarify some of our ideas or just remind ourselves of some of our ideas. So we start on the right-hand side in the ones place. We have 5 plus 9, which is equal to 14. Well, 14 is more than 10. It's a group of 10 plus 4 more. So we keep that 4 in the ones place, but we carry that group of 10. And you can see the 14 in blue. It's kind of split up, but you see that 14. Then we move to the next place. 1 plus 1 plus 0 is 2. That is not 10 or higher, so there's no carrying involved. In the next place, we have 6 plus 8, and that's 14 again. We know that we leave the 4 in that place, but we carry the group of 10. Whenever you have 10 or more in one place, you carry the 10. And so then we have 1 plus 7 plus 4, which is going to give us 12. I have no place to carry the 1, no more numbers to carry it to, but it then just carries over into the front of our number. So we have 12,424, and that is in base 10. So we'll take a look also at subtraction. Remember that because these are pre-recorded, you can pause at any time, or you can go back at any time if you need to slow something down or review something. So here we have subtraction, and we're working in whole numbers. So I cannot take 8 away from 3. 8 is bigger than 3. So I need to go to the number in the next place over, the next bigger place, and I need to borrow. So there's a 1 there. I'm going to borrow the 1, leaving 0. I've borrowed one group of 10, which in the ones place becomes 10 ones. I show that by putting a 1 in front of a 3, which makes it a 13, and 13 minus 8 is 5. So I'm always exchanging 10s, one group of 10 for 10 ones. But now I need to borrow again because I'm in the second column and I can't take 3 away from 0. But as I look next door over here, I see there's another 0, and I can't take anything from 0. It's a 0. So I need to go all the way over to the 9 at the front of that number. So I'm going to borrow 1 from the 9, making it an 8. And then to complete that borrow, I put a 1 there in front of a 0, making 10. But now I'm not finished because I'm trying to borrow all the way over to the second-hand place, the place that's second to the right. So I'm going to cross out that 10, decreasing it by 1, which gives me a 9. We get a 9 because we're taking 1 away from 10, and 9 is 1 less than 10. Once I've done that borrow, I mean, what happens at the same time is this other thing I've done in red. You take 1 away from the 10 and you give that to the next place over. Okay, so now we're set up to do our subtraction. And so I see in the second column, we have 10 minus 3 is 7. And then moving over, we have 9 minus 5 is 4. And then we have 8 minus 6, which is 2. And I just want to say right now that the temptation we're going to fall into when we're working with other bases is when we see this situation that I'm circling in green. We're so used to having a setup in subtraction where we have a 1, 0, and we cross out the 1, 0 and we make it a 9. And some people have even learned or developed some shortcuts where they're actually like skipping some of the steps and just crossing out. If you've got a number of zeros in a row, just crossing out those zeros and making them all 9s. But what you're really doing is you're taking 1 away from a 10, and 1 less than 10 is 9. When we get into base 5, we don't have a 9. So we're going to have to take 1 less than what's there. So that's something we're looking out for. And I know that right now that's really abstract. Like, what are you talking about? I don't understand yet. But you will. So here we go. We're going to start with addition. So we have 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. Well, that's one group of 5 and 1 left over. So we put the leftover 1 down here and we carry the group of 5. It is not a 10, it's a 5. What I sometimes do when I'm working in a different base is I might just quickly write down my digits to remind me of what I have to work with. For instance, I couldn't do 2 plus 4 is 6 and write the symbol that I just wrote in orange because that symbol doesn't exist. All of our digits are right here. I'm underlining them right now. That one doesn't exist, so we're going to get rid of it. Okay. And I also often will write out the place value just to remind myself. And I don't need more than 2 places because we're only ever working with 2 digits at the same time. 2 plus 4 is 6. That's one group of 5 plus one group of 1. That's a 6. Another thing that may be helpful is you might just want to write out a few of your 2-digit numbers in base 5. 1, 0 is 5. 1, 1 is 6. 1, 2 is 7. Because it's 5 plus 2 more. 1, 3 is 8. And 1, 4 is 9. If you want to take it one more step, you could say 2, 0 is 10. You can have that off to the side. But those are like training wheels. I'd rather you not write something like that on the test. I actually want you to be thinking in base 5. I'm moving a group of 5. So as we move over to the middle column in our addition problem, we have 1 plus 4 plus 3, and that's 8. Well, I see that right here. I've got 3, and I carry the 1. Another way we could have thought of that is, oh, here's a group of 5. Let's carry that over, leaving behind 3. That's a little more advanced way of thinking about it, but you might want to try to move in that direction. So to finish this up, we have 1 plus 1 plus 2, which is 4. And since we haven't hit anything that's 5 or bigger, that just is what it is. There's no need to carry. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. We don't have a group of 5 to carry. So that's our result. If you think you've got the idea, you might want to pause the video right now, try this one on your own, and then hit play and see how you did. Again, I just remind myself of what digits I have, and I just make a quick little sketch here. And if you want to do that, that's fine to write that on your test, but I'd rather you not have a whole list of numbers because I want you to try to think actually in base 5. So in the ones place, we have 4 plus 4, which is 8. 8 is a group of 5 plus 3 ones. So we have a 3 and we carry the group of 5. 1 plus 1 plus 4 is 6. That's a group of 5 that's going to carry with 1 left over. Or again, we could have had this idea of, hey, there's a group of 5. I'm carrying 5s because I'm in base 5. I'm not in base 10. What carries up is a group of 5. Again, that's a little more advanced, and you don't have to do that. 1 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 plus 2 is 5. But in base 5, 5 looks like a 10, right? It's a group of 5 with nothing left. So this is a 0. We carry the 1. And 1 plus 4 plus 3 is 8, which is a group of 5 plus 3 more. So that gives us 1, 3. Here as well, we could have been a little more advanced and said, there's a group of 5. I'm going to carry that over, and that just allows the 3 to drop down to the bottom. So the final answer is 130113. Notice I don't read that as 130,113. Just think about that part 13. That word has 2 parts, thir, which is 3, and teen, which is 10. We don't have a 3 plus a 10. We're in base 5. So I read this as 130113. So this one I'm actually asking you to pause and try it. Whether you feel confident or not, please pause and try it. And I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to do this one pretty quickly without kind of the training wheels. I'm going to do it just thinking in base 5. So the ones place, we've got 3 plus 4, that is 7, which is 2 plus a group of 5, which carries. Oh, 1 plus 4 plus 2, that's also 7, which is a group of 5 plus 2 more, that's 7. So the 2 stays, and you carry the group of 5. We have 1 plus 1 plus 2, which is 4. That's less than 5, so there's no carry. And then I have 2 plus 3, which is 5. And a 5 looks like a 10 in its own base because it's one group of 5 with nothing else. So our answer is 10422. So that is addition, and with addition you carry. When you have 5 or more, you carry it into the next place over. But next up, we are going to look at subtraction, and I'm starting with a very small example here, just 2-digit numbers each. We start in the ones place. We can't take 4 from 1 because there's not that much stuff in a 1. 4 is bigger than 1. So we go next door and we borrow, and we give that piece that we borrowed. It's actually one group of 5. This is a 5. That one that I borrowed and put there, that one stands for a 5, plus the other one that was already there gives us a total of 6. Because subtraction, it's a little harder to think about than addition, I'm going to go ahead and make our little cheat sheet. 1 0, 1 1, 1 2, 1 3, 1 4. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Well, this number right here that looks like an 11 is right there. It's one group of 5 plus one more, so it's actually a 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then we have 2 minus 1. I don't need to do any borrowing there. 2 minus 1, I don't care what base you're in. 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, if you had made a mistake, if you started doing this problem, and do it really quickly, and do it the wrong way, so I'm going to erase it also really fast. If you borrow and you put the 1 here and you think that's an 11, and you say 11 minus 4 is 7, 2 minus 1 is 1, and so my answer is 17. You should recognize right away that this is not correct because we don't have that symbol in base 5. It just does not exist. So you know that something went wrong. And that's why I will often write my digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that if I get something that's not in that list, it's a warning that I did something wrong. Okay. So moving on to the next problem, a little bit bigger. Yeah, if you think you've got it, go ahead and pause and then check back in, but I'm going to jump right in and work this with you. So, and maybe again, we'll have the little cheat sheet. That's maybe a bad term for it. Let's call it a reference chart. We'll call it a reference chart. First, we have a 5 and no ones. Then we have 5 plus 1, which is 6. 5 plus 2 is 7. 5 plus 3 is 8. And 5 plus 4 is 9. Starting in the ones place, I cannot take 4 away from 2. So I'm going to borrow, which looks just like your standard subtraction process in base 10, except a 1, 2 is not a 12, it is a 7. So what we have in the ones place is 7 minus 4, which is 3. Oh, I need to borrow again. But I look next door and I have a 0. So I have to come all the way over here. I borrow from the 4. I put a 1 in front of this number. And here's where we have to be careful. This is where so many people want to cross that out and write a 9, because they're so used to crossing out what looks like a 10 and putting a 9, or what looks like a 0 and putting a 9. But that 1, 0, that has a value of 5. And 5 minus 1 is 4. It's not 9. Okay, so I just did the borrow. I crossed out. I wrote a 4. And I'm going to give 1 to the next place value. But what's the value of that 1, 2 there? Well, that's a 7. 7 minus 4 is 3. Then moving along, 4 minus 3 is 1, and 3 minus 2 is 1. As long as you don't have to do any borrowing, things should roll along quite easily. Our answer is 1, 1, 3, 3 in base 5. Let's try one more. I purposefully set this one up with a bunch of zeros in there. Remember again, this symbol does not exist in base 5. You don't want to cross out any zeros or anything that looks like a 10 and write that symbol above it, because we don't have a single symbol for 9 in base 5. In fact, our digits are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you see anything other than that, then you did something wrong. One more time with the support chart. 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. It's a group of 5. 5 and 1 more is 6. 5 and 2 more is 7. 5 and 3 more is 8. 5 and 4 more is 9. Okay. 3 plus 4 is 7. I'd rather have you say 7 is 5 with 2 left over, and then just do this. A group of 5 plus 2 left over. Or you could say, hey, that's a 7. What does a 7 look like? It looks to me like a 12. It's a 1, 2. You really want to move away from this as best you can once you get going a little bit. We're subtracting again. I can't take 2 away from 1. I was adding, and you know what? I'm not going to start this whole thing over because Zoom has been going out on me and it'll take me 17 hours to make this video. You see what I did? I said 3 plus 4. 3 plus 4 is 1, 2. My apologies for any confusion. We're starting fresh. Right? That can happen. So if you make a mistake, don't get down on yourself. You just start over. We can't do 3 minus 4 because 4 is bigger than 3. So we want to go next door and borrow, but it's a 0, and you can't take anything from a 0. So we go next door, but that's also a 0. So we have to go all the way over to the 2. We're going to borrow from that, giving 1 to this place. Borrowing there, that is a 5. 1 less than a 5 is a 4. We have borrowed, so we're going to put the 1 here. And the whole reason I did that was because I needed to borrow from this place in order to get a larger number here. A 1, 3 is an 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 4, well, that's 0, and 1 minus 1 is 0. And you know what? You don't normally write whole numbers with zeros on the front of them. So actually, we're not going to write those. So the answer to this is 2, 4 in base 5. 2, 4 in base 5. Moving on, here's a really long one. I'd like you to pause and give that a try. Whether you feel comfortable yet or not, try it to see where you're at. So now that you paused and tried that, I'm going to jump in and do it. I'm not going to use the training wheels. I'm not going to use the little chart. I'm just going to jump in and be thinking in terms of 5s. And I'm going to subtract. I'm not going to make a mistake on this one. Over in the 1s place, I can't take 4 from 2 because 4 is bigger than 2. So I'm going to borrow. That gives me what looks like a 12, but it's a 1, 2, which is 5 plus 2, or 7. 7 minus 4 is 3. The next place over, the 5s place, I have 3 minus 1. I don't need to do any borrowing from that for that because 1 is less than 3. As I move to the next place, though, I'm trying to do 1 minus 2. I need to borrow. I look next door, it's a 0. I need to go one more space. So we borrow from this 2, making this a 5. It looks like a 10, but it's a 5. When we borrow from 5, it decreases by 1. 1 less than 5 is 4. And then you're going to carry. Looks like an 11, but it's a 6. It's 5 plus 1. And 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Now I'm going to need to do another borrow because I can't take 4 away from 1. 4 is bigger than 1. So borrow from the number next door. You get something that looks like an 11, but it means one group of 5 plus 1 more. 1, 1 is actually 6. 6 minus 4 is 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So our answer is 1, 2, 0, 4, 2, 3, base 5.